This month we have our Fallen Heroes banner for Year 8, very spicy lineup comprising of units from Blazing Blade and Engage. Today we'll be talking about new ults for Ursula, Veyle, and Lumera, who is rearmed. Hope you played Engage, because otherwise, totally not a spoiler or anything. Our last unit is a Fae newcomer, the long-awaited Lord Nergal. Hell of a wait, but I think it was worth it. We'll be talking about everyone's stats and skills, plus discuss general playstyle and build ideas. If you're not familiar, Fallen Heroes, despite being part of a theme, are permanent 5-star additions. There is no 4-star focus unit for the banner. Up first, Fallen Ursula is back as a Blue Mage Cavalier. She has 40 HP, 43 attack, 47 speed, 17 defense, and 27 res. Super boons in attack and speed. This Ursula ties for fastest mage in the game. You will basically want to treat her defense res as 0, because Ursa's going for the full glass cannon roll. For all skills, Ursula has Blazing Thunder to replicate her Bolting Tome. She has Speed and Res Fortress 4, which as a reminder does add 7 damage to AoEs. You then have Doom to Res Smoke 3 to help allies follow up via Pathfinder. For her weapon, Ursula has Dead Crow Tome, 14 might accelerate specials. At start of turn, if above 25% HP, 3 things are going to happen. Ursula gets -1 cooldown. She gives herself and allies within 2 spaces, plus 6 attack and speed field buffs and a desperation status. Third, if Ursula is at full HP, she also gets another -1 cooldown. If above 25% health at start of combat, grant +6 attack and speed, grant bonus attack and speed equal to 20% speed from start of combat. You get true damage on hit equal to 20% speed that also applies to AoEs. Ursula has offense no follow-up, and if at full HP, she gets no guard too. This year's Fallen banner is pretty damn spicy. First off, while she doesn't have a unique 2 cooldown AoE like Lilina, Ursula gets tons of cooldown every turn. Unless she is hurt, she gets -2 cooldowns, so by turn 2, Blazing Thunder is ready. That Blazing Thunder gets extra damage via 20% speed, then in combat Ursula has Desperation plus no follow-up to double immediately to finish the job. With no guard, any hit can give her -1 cooldown. Should she stay at full HP, next player phase, Blazing Thunder is ready to go. AoE Special Mage Cav that can pre-charge by herself is super strong already. However, Ursula has a very rare support perk in Desperation as a status effect. We've seen it a lot over the years, but generally it's a self-buff on the user. I'm pretty sure this is the first time Desperation is given to allies without the use of a dual harmonic skill. It can work at any HP level, so any brave attacker can instant quad if not stopped. Unless you have Hardy Bearing or can prevent follow-up attacks, Ursula's entire team is just that much tougher to tank. Now, to go with Ursula's AoE special playstyle, she brings a new Life and Death Tier 4 skill. Verge of Death grants a flat +8 attack and speed, inflicts a flat -8 defense and res. At start of player or enemy phase, neutralize Panic, and neutralize any attack and speed debuff being applied at this time. Verge of Death comes from Life and Death 3, so super easy to inherit. It grants 1 more attack and speed over Life and Death 4, but does come with a bigger defense res penalty. For glass cannons or AoE spammers like Ursula, they usually will take that trade. Now, Verge of Death has another effect that is very good. At start of either phase, you cleanse Panic, and you prevent any attack and speed debuffs being applied to the unit. Similar to Freyr, you are not cleansing attack and speed debuffs, you are preventing them. Like Life and Death, the skill isn't for everyone, but for pure glass cannons like Ursula, who will die in 1 hit anyway, it's a pretty good A skill. It also is a sort of a hard counter to the Bright Shrine in Aether Raids. For playstyle, we kinda already talked about Ursula's plan. It's kinda simple. At full HP, every turn she gains -2 cooldown, Blazing Thunder ready by turn 2, with Verge of Death, Dead Crow Tomes +6 speed buff, and Fortress 4, Ursula adds around 19 extra damage to her special. If you were to run Life and Death as a Sacred Seal, that will get her to 20 extra damage. Each turn, Ursula provides attack and speed buffs and desperation to nearby allies. She initiates with her AoE and adds desperation plus no follow-up to 2-tap immediately if needed. If Ursula avoids damage, she's going to recharge her AoE next player phase. After combat, Defensive Smoke 3 kicks in and Fortress 4 always gives Kanto 1. This lets Ursula retreat, and she now is a Pathfinder beacon for her team. Very simple game plan. If Ursula gets touched at all, she will explode. If you can hurt her via things like Doom or Savage Blow, you can slow her down, but you don't shut her down. For other skills, obviously you can change the AoE to whatever variant you like. Growing may be better, especially to hit savior units. For seals, you can go Quick Impulse for the turn 1 pre-charge. Generally struggle for AoE glass cannons is Vantage. Hardy Bearing will disable Desperation, but it's kind of way more important to not get Vantage cheese since she's so squishy. Something you can't counter is AoE % DR effects. There is no DR piercing for AoE specials. Fallen Leon just got refined. He has built-in 80% DR. Units like Guto can give that to a whole team. Additionally, Divine Vein Stone has 50% DR, AoE DR, and we have one of those units on this banner. If AoE damage reduction is too common for you, Ursula has no issue running a regular damage special. She can pre-charge Luna or 2-turn Dragonfang Astra. She has no innate DR piercing though, but with Desperation and no guard, she can also bypass 1-layer Scowl, similar to Byleth's new refine. With these specials, Flare Strike is an option, and I'll actually say Wind or Water Sweep can work for AoEs as well. If you really want, nothing's stopping Ursula from pre-charging Miracle for a good laugh, or running Speed Preempt for Vantage. Very fun support skill, Infantry Speed Tactic is one way to give no follow-up, add Desperation for a one-of-a-kind buffing package, though speed buff is kinda redundant. If you got a Horse team, why not Fortify Cavalry for the full buff setup? For an actual combat C skill, you could technically do Insight for in-combat stats only, Fatal Smoke 4 for anti-miracle or healing, or maybe just good old Savage Blow. Overall, Fallen Ursula is a great unit. There are AoE special counters out there, but Ursula's got Desperation to still do some work. If you have speedy, no follow-up initiators or just brave attackers, that Desperation status is an incredible addition for any team. Our next unit is Nergal, who may be the star of the banner. We kinda already know what Veyle and Lumera can do, but Nergal's got a brand new status, and it's a doozy. Fallen Nergal is a green infantry mage, 40 HP, 45 attack, 16 speed, 39 defense, 43 res, attack super boon, min-max low speed mage. If you like bulky mages, I think you're gonna like Nergal. For old skills, he has Glacies, close bonus doubler, and special spiral 4. You do not want to let this man get Glacies to proc. That would be easier said than done though. Nergal's got his Erish Kiggle Tome, 14 might accelerate specials. At start of turn, if above 25% HP, Nergal gives himself and allies within 2 spaces, plus 6 attack, and the new Essence Drain status. More on this later. For combat, if above 25% health, Nergal inflicts -6 attack and res on the foe, with additional attack and res debuffs equal to 20% of his at start of combat res. Nergal then gets true damage equal to number of positive statuses active times 5, max of 25 true damage for 5 statuses. He gets flat DR for number of active statuses times 3, max of 15 flat DR for 5 statuses. Finally, if using an offensive special, Nergal gets instant cooldown before his first attack. This value is equal to the number of active statuses, max of -3 cooldown for 3 statuses. For the most part, Nergal is quite deadly if he has active status effects, lots of attack against debuffs, true damage, flat DR, and instant cooldown. Remember that Glacies and Special Spiral 4? Yeah, Nergal can instantly proc that with 3 status effects. Now to gain said statuses, Essence Drain will count for one of those. However, this thing is insane. After combat, if unit attack, 3 things will happen. Grants any bonus active on the target and foes within 2 spaces, and it's going to give them to Nergal and any ally with Essence Drain. You then neutralize the bonuses on the enemy you took them from because you're literally stealing them away. This will not count for status effects applied at the same time though. For example, Panic or Speed Smoke 4 can give a status after combat. Essence Drain are not going to touch those. For the third effect, if you get a KO, all Essence Drain allies gain 10 HP. This is an absurdly scary effect. It's basically Tina's Thief Staff, but an active AoE version. Tina might be able to passively steal buffs, but she only shares them within 2 spaces, while Nergal only hands out Essence Drain within 2 spaces. If one of his users attacks an ally, or an enemy, you steal all buffs within 2 spaces of the enemy, and you give it to all Essence Drain users no matter their position. Big thing to understand. Essence Drain procs even if the user dies, you just need to make an attack. The most famous unit who is okay running it down to his death just got a refine. If you give Sigurd Essence Drain, he possibly not only gives his team plus 1 movement, but all the field buffs and statuses around the target get stolen. To counter this, Mythic Loki or Elamine could work, Sweep or Vantage can prevent the foe from making an attack. Funny enough, Tina might hard counter Nergal since she would just steal Essence Drain for her turn. Would be kinda iffy into enemy phase though since Nergal reapplies it. I assume 2 Essence Drain units fighting each other would just swap buffs. Regardless, this is a concerning weapon, not even accounting for Nergal's own combat. Trying to tank his team is just gonna mean you're gonna lose all your buffs after 1 fight. For his new inheritable C skill, Nergal brings Demon Res Oath 4. Every turn, if within 2 spaces of an ally, gain +6 Demon Res field buffs and the regular warp status. If you fight near an ally, you get an extra +2 Demon Res in combat. Not only did we get a Demon Res pledge before this Oath 4, but there is still only 3 total units with Demon Res Oath 3 in the game. To put it in perspective, the next Grand Hero Battle unit has a freaking Dodge B skill, and there's no free-to-play source for this Oath 3. If you don't need Pledge's cooldown, Oath 4's warping is always nice to have. Very easy to use skill, very hard to inherit. Let's break down Nergal's playstyle. With Essence Drain and Oath 4, Nergal gets 2 statuses. Recommend getting a 3rd status from an ally like Ursula. 3 statuses will let Nergal instantly charge Slaying Glacies, and the Special Spell 4 gives Deer Piercing. It also adds 5 true damage, and Irish Kiggle adds 5 more true damage per status, up to 25 extra. Nergal inflicts a ton of attack and res debuffs, and you can just send his Glacius nuke immediately. He can also do the same versus melee initiators thanks to Close bonus doubler, and he gets plus 6 field buffs to everything except speed. You double those, and Oath 4 opens up more warping options. Already a very scary mage, but Nergal is fairly tanky, and with 5 statuses, he also has 15 flat DR. That's not bad. Where things can get wild is after attacking with Essence Drain. Nergal can take bonuses in an AoE and share with other Essence Drain teammates. If you kill the enemy, you also get a heal. This base kit is fully functional, but feel free to swap off if you don't care for Close Counter or Bonus Doubler. Unity or Boost Force skills are fun. You could run Pledge if you got warping from elsewhere. Something to consider is Times Pulse. While Nergal can instantly proc Glacies if you use Times Pulse, this could help counteract 1 layer Scout. The same can be done if you used a lower cooldown special, such as Flare. For other skills, one day I'll stop talking about Legu's Friend, but not today. That's because Legu's Friend arguably is kind of just a better special spell for this kit. The main reason is that Nergal is running a 3 cooldown special, which will proc Legu's Friend. The skill gives DR Piercing, which way more true damage than Spyro 4, and also adds more flat DR to Irish Kiggle. Nergal isn't running any % DR effects, but he could be getting 25 flat DR with this skill. To make it really disgusting, you use Emblem Ike's Ring. Ideally, this wants Glacies to get to 2 cooldowns somehow. Legu's Friend charges it before the foe attacks, which triggers Ike's unpierceable 40% DR versus ranged. However, you can maybe metagame it a bit. Against brave attacks, maybe you let the first hit charge Glacies, trigger Ike's Ring on the second hit, which might be a special. 40% DR plus 2 flat DR sources is quite good. Moving on, if you don't need DR Pierce for whatever reason, you could try to stack regular % DR skills like Guard 4 or the Attuned Echo. % DR plus flat DR by itself is good. For Sacred Seals, these squad ace options for extra HP are nice, or you could risk double bonus doubler. While maybe not the best on Nergal, for any Essence Drain ally, Hardy Bearing could help counter In Between Desperation. For a similar reason, Nelsie Disrupt can prevent sweep effects. Generally, Essence Drain will be worse to face when you're trying to tank it. If you're in a defensive formation, one attacker can wipe out all your bonus effects and then power up the next attacker. I think one advantage Nergal has over, say, Tina, or maybe even Loki, is that while his buff stealing requires action, Nergal himself is quite the combative unit. He's not a healer. He has a DR Piercing high damage burst special, and he's not a free kill either. It's been a long time, but they definitely made Nergal into a neat unit. Our third Fallen hero was probably the easiest to expect this year, and that's Fallen Veyle. Spoilers for Engage, but not only is there an evil Veyle, but she gets a fun new black outfit as well. I really liked evil Veyle, the VA did a great job. Now in Fae, Fallen Veyle is a Colors Infantry mage. I know it's not her main weapon, but kinda sad they didn't give the evil alt the dagger. For stats, Veyle has 40 HP, 47 attack, 16 speed, 32 defense, 47 res. Attack and res super boons, both good choices, though this Veyle will like flat resistance for support reasons. Unlike Mythic Veyle, very low speed for a more respectable base defense, she is going to get doubled pretty much all the time, but this Veyle can hit twice herself. For old skills, Veyle has Iceberg and Attack and Res Tempo 4, just like her Mythic ult. Veyle Child's Might is a 14 Might tome, but exerts specials. If Veyle initiates or faces a ranged foe, she inflicts -6 attack and res, and bonus attack and res, debuffs equal to 20% of her at start of res combat. Veyle gets 30% damage reduction for all hits taken, she has Breath type cooldown, and if Veyle has 10 or more res than the enemy, she gets Brave attacks. Previously, Mythic Veyle had a 30% DR aura for allies within 2 spaces. This part is part of her C skill, and it has been moved to the weapon, and this is to remove the res check condition that was tied to it. Veyle's 30% DR aura now always works. So, just like Nergal, same attack and res debuff profile, although Veyle actually builds flat resistance, so she actually gets even more out of it. With her A skill, you can actually inflict -17 attack and res on the foe. The res debuffs will make it easier to activate the brave attacks, and with breath type cooldown, slang, and tempo, Veyle can charge Iceberg in one action, proc it on her brave hit. Pretty good damage. Do note this weapon will not work with close counter. The devs do not want Veyle to just mug Nergal's A skill. Like Mythic Veyle, we have a unique C skill. Veyle's successor is basically an upgrade. If Veyle initiates or is within 2 spaces of an ally, she inflicts another -5 attack resistance on the foe. She then has Scowl. If Veyle has 5 or more res and the foe uses an offensive special, she inflicts +1 cooldown on the enemy before their first attack. adds a buff to this effect. If facing a ranged enemy, Veyle also scours their follow-up attack as well. Ooh, that is rough. As I mentioned in the last video, units like Legendary Violet may never actually proc their specials against Veyle. You either need brave hits or instant cooldown to offset scour, or you need to out-res Veyle. For the second part of the skill, Veyle shares her scour ability with allies within 2 spaces. She also gives them +4 attack defense and res. Do note, for allies, Veyle is the one doing the res check against the enemies they're facing. She will also be comparing flat resistance rather than in-combat res. If you count the 30% DRR from the weapon, Fallen Veyle just has a better scout support than her mythic version. Additionally, you can use her in any season without worrying about scoring. Also consider using them together. Double scout for a non-dragon is hilarious. Something to note, since I talked about Violet, if Veyle is an issue for you, you could opt for a Feud C skill. That's going to get rid of her scout support, at least on teammates. Rally Spectrum also works against at least for the first attack. Now, to go with scout res checking, this Veyle has Crystalline Water, +8 flat attack resistance, -8 flat defense. On either turn, neutralize panic and prevent any attack res debuffs being applied at the start of the turn. Crystalline Water is another Still Water 3 upgrade, arguably just better Still Water 4 since most users don't care about -3 defense as a penalty. With all the ploy debuffing going around, if Veyle is tagged, she will just prevent attack res debuffs happening at that time. Obviously, this is good for those scout checks. Same for Verge of Death, you can still be hit by debuffs in the middle of the phase, things like Ruse or Snag. Fallen Veyle is a little more selfish than her mythic form, but she has an improved scout support effect, one that works on follow-ups if the foe is ranged. Veyle's whole kit revolves around high resistance, she gains extra attack and res debuffs, better chance to scout, and if she has 10 or more res, she gets deadly brave hits. Thanks to Sling and Breath type cooldown, she can charge Iceberg in one action. Temples, no guard, makes this consistent and allows Veyle to counter with Iceberg immediately. For initiating, it also lets Veyle proc Iceberg on the brave attack, and Temple 4 has half DR Pierce, which I think is fine to keep since we have brave attacks. You could use Lagu's Friend, but I'm not going to recommend it here. Veyle has 30% DR for all hits, and with her base kit, she inflicts over -20 attack and res debuffing. Very complete kit for the most part. Since Veyle's successor does a flat resistance check, you could run Stillwater 3 as a seal, or if you want to not tank Veyle's physical bulk further, you can use Squad A's BU. +3 flat attack and resistance, +5 HP, no defense penalty. In terms of specials, while Flare is nice for bulky mages, Veyle inflicts a lot of res debuffs, which are just going to lower Luna and Flare damage. Iceberg is just nice for the instant counter proc or the brave hit activation. For extra defensive power, another % DR skill would be nice, and Guard plus Tempo is great. It's just tough to fit in Veyle's kit, and technically Veyle's successor could block most specials. She wants flat resistance, so while boost or finish skills are great, Crystalline Water probably should be kept. Guard 4 and LC Disrupt would be nice, but Tempo 4's DR Pierce is valuable for damage output. If you wanted, you could run Quicker Post for potential quads. Same for Bash Assault 4, but again, I think DR Pierce is just too good to not have. While Fallen Veyle's scout support is better than her mythic ult, she did lose some buffing perks such as the 2 resonance statuses and +6 attack and res field buffs. If you just want to stay in formation, you could opt for a Rally plus Ruse setup. Maybe you got DR piercing from other sources such as Legendary Female Allure. Overall, very solid unit. She is going to be another bulky mage, and like a Nergal, she has DR piercing with quick special procs. Scout support is a one-of-a-kind ability for the non-dragon units to get, and scout on follow-up attacks is pretty damn dirty as well. However, that part doesn't apply to melee units, and Veyle's weapon doesn't work with close counter. Try to get up close to take her out. Last up for today is Rearmed Lumera, another spoiler, and I'm gonna tangent, but man, I really like that Lumera came back in Engage. We literally joke all the time about Fire Emblem killing off parents, and Lumera literally got killed off in the trailers before the game came out. I like that she was actually kind of evil and mean though when she came back. For example, if you fight corrupted Lumera with Allure or the stewards, she will taunt them with lines she said when you fought her in the intro tutorial. That was a really cool callback and actually pretty sad. I was disappointed that we did not fight Dragon Lumera because we literally fight one non-generic dragon enemy in Engage. That makes this ult kind of weird as a dragon unit. I've read people say it's because her Dragonstone was gone, but like right before this fight we literally time travel, so who the heck cares? Let me see the cool dragon. In Faye, funny enough, you could justify the dragon typing because Lumera has literally been rearmed with a new Dragonstone. Poor lady still only has one dress, but man, I like her artwork here. Instead of the usual smoky dark effects, which are kind of sometimes, you literally can see the dark energy pulling in her hands. Now, as a unit, Lumera is a red infantry dragon this time. She has 36 HP, 41 attack, 45 speed, 26 defense, and 45 res. HP attack super boons. 36 base HP, hilariously low. Paired with 26 defense, not a great look for a melee unit. However, 45 resistance is 5 higher than Mythic Lumera, and as we've been discussing, you can probably see where this is going. This high res is also paired with a pretty solid 45 speed. For old skills, Lumera has Iceberg and the second unit to have Counter Roar 4, solid defensive option for Beast and Dragons. Rearmed Lumera brings the Arcane Fellstone 16 Might Slaying Dragon Stone. If above 25% HP, gain bonus to all stats equal to 25% of the foe's attack stat at start of combat, -4. It grants 40% DR for first attacks with an S, Breath type cooldown, and if you outspeed, you get full no follow-up effects. Adaptive damage versus range, the standard. Arcane Fellstone is the arcane weapon for the faster dragons. It quite literally is just a better Arcane Devourer sword. For stats, it has a base +5, but this can go up to 14 to all stats if the foe has 72 flat attack. The 40% DR will also work for the first 2 brave hits. Otherwise, Slaying plus Breath type cooldown plus no follow-up are all the same. Arcane Grima's main benefit is the free follow-up attack for the slower dragons. It does have 7 HP healing after combat and some true damage, but Breath type cooldown and no follow-up just open up a lot of build options for the faster dragons. Do note, you will need Flame Tongue as a prereq skill. Unlike the other silver weapons, Flame Tongue is only on 5-star dragons, or the one Heroic Route Garen. If you've merged Garen up, this may be a fairly expensive prereq skill to fodder, but I would say it's worth it. You can grab Arcane Fellstone with full counter roar 4, or Lumera's new A skill. Now, to stand out, Lumera has her unique C skill. Like Veyle, it's basically her mythic alt C skill. Corrupted Dragon will deploy Divine Vein Stone Tiles in a 5-row, 5-column box around Lumera, after she acts for 1 turn. For allies in the same 5x5 box, Lumera gives them +4 to all stats and no guard. For personal combat, as long as 1 ally is in the box range, Lumera herself will get the +4 stats, no guard, and when her special triggers, she gets full DR piercing on that attack. This C skill is almost the exact same as Mythic Lumera's Dragon Monarch. I mean, it's only been like 3 months. The only difference is that instead of 30% DR for Lumera, she now has DR piercing specials. I guess we know where Lear got it from. Similar to Veyle, Fallen Lumera is a little more selfish, but offers her main support traits from before. Divine Vein Stone grants +60 defense in combat, reduces special damage by 10, and reduces AoEs by 50%. You can stack the AoE % DR for certain skills like Dodge. For the no guard support, this is a fairly rare ability. I think Legendary Female Pilot's still the only unit to supply full tempo to allies. No guard is great for consistent special charging, and Lumera has a huge 5x5 box support range. It's still mostly for defensive tanking, but if you like Mythic Lumera support, then you can now bring that into other seasons at this alt. For a new inheritable A skill, Lumera brings Speed and Res Scout 4. Same as the other Scout skills, if the foe initiates or has more than 75% HP, you get +7 speed and res. If the foe uses an offensive special and your unit has 5 or more res than them, you inflict +1 cooldown before their first attack. Not much else to add since we just talked about Veyle. It's noteworthy that this variant may be better than Attack and Speed Scout, simply because you get more resistance to actually trigger Scout. More damage is good, but the +7 res from the skill does contribute to the res check. Feel free to pair Scout with Veyle or the new Hush Spectrum. Rearmed Fallen Lumera is once again a fast scowling dragon. She's a little deadlier this time, but no follow-up if she outspeeds. From her weapon and unique passive, Lumera has Slaying, Breath type cooldown, no guard, and DR piercing specials. She can tank 1 hit, retaliate with instant DR piercing Iceberg. For a general upgrade, Lumera is a good, or I guess perfect user of the dragon-only Dragon Roar special. Slightly weaker Iceberg in damage, but unpierceable % damage reduction if specials are ready. Similar to Scout, you're going to need to win a res check, but unlike Emblem Ike or the armored specials, this % DR works on melee and ranged attacks. You insert distant counter for fun. Arcane Fellstone plus Counter Roar is already around 58% DR. Dragon Roar can bump that up to 75% damage reduction when a special is ready. Ideally though, Lumera uses Scowl to prevent specials, but having Dragon's Roar is a pretty good insurance plan. Again, Brave Hits or Rally Spectrum can bypass Scowl, and an unpierceable % DR source is good for that. It would be nice to add Guard to this kit. You could use Guard Echo, but Attack Echo could also be fun for warping. That may help positioning for the Divine Vein or just supporting allies. For the most part, Lumera does want all the stats, but speed and res are most important. Luckily, Arcane Fellstone provides a good stat boost and can be stat refined. The extra HP would be much appreciated, although you could use Squad A Seals and Lumera can get those sweet blessing stat boosts now. For whatever reasons, if you don't need Scowl, Finish is good and bonus doubler for high total bonus stats. I think Counter Roar is fine to keep, but you could do No See Disrupt, Bulwark, or even a Lull. For Sacred Seals, Dragon's Wrath is pretty cool, but Lumera does already have 2% DR skills. Extra attack and defense would be nice to acquire, or you could use a support buff to stack with Corrupted Dragon. If you want, like Mythic Lumera, you could do a Rally plus Ruse setup. Overall, Rearmed Lumera is a more aggressive version of her Mythic form. Lots of cooldown plus DR piercing, and no follow-up is fun to build around. Arcane Fellstone is a solid weapon. The New Year's Kanas are definitely prime users if you want to go fast with good cooldown. That said, male Kana's weapon has no follow but that flat DR potential. Yeah, Lagu's Friend, Dragon's Roar, Emblem Ike. Alright, let's not get into it. That will be it for this year's Fallen banner. Another year of spicy units, and Nergal's bringing in a brand new anti-status status. Actually, despite being evil, all of these heroes actually have support aspects. Maybe they're not so bad after all. Next up, joining his brother from last year is Fallen Lloyd, second free-to-play version, but is he more exciting than his year one self? Think that's an easy yes. Bar wasn't very high. We'll talk about Lloyd next video. Thank you for watching, good luck summoning, and I will see you guys in the next video.